that there are only really two non-contradictory, coherent viewpoints, right? There are only two viewpoints, really, in truth, which are consistent and coherent and which abide by the principles, right? So either you say that Allah is not a body like the bodies, and so therefore we have to negate every single name, attribute, description, and we can't assign anything to him. We can't affirm any positive attribute for him, and we have this idea of absolute oneness, and so we deny everything, right? No names, no attributes, no descriptions, no actions, no nothing, whatever, right? So this is really here on this side of the scale, the philosophers and the Jahmiyyah, and they are largely consistent and coherent, right? They're sticking by by the principle that they're operating upon, right? On the other side, the people of the Sunnah here, and we have a uniform, consistent, coherent principle, which is that our knowledge of Allah is taken from revelation as a principle. Whatever Allah has affirmed for himself or assigned to himself by way of a name, by way of an attribute, by way of an action, then we know that because Allah Azza wa Jal, his essence or his being is unlike the creation, then therefore his names, attributes and actions are unlike the creation. And so there's no caution, there's nothing wrong in us affirming for Allah what he affirms for himself and negating for Allah what he negates from himself, while negating any likeness, right? And this uniform principle we apply to everything that we see in the Quran and the Sunnah, right? And we are coherent. There's no contradiction in any of this. Now, if you try to go anywhere in the middle, so you say, well, okay, I'll accept the names but not the attributes. Or you say, well, okay, I'll accept some of the attributes but I deny other attributes. You are going to fall into a blatant and very apparent contradiction. And even though you might try to play all of these games and tricks, linguistic tricks, and you bring all of these kind of devices in argument to try to make it look as if everything is coherent, upon examination and scrutiny, like what we are going to do in the rest part of this book, it's all going to fall into pieces, right? And so therefore, there's a great statement made by one of the scholars called Yaḥyā bin ʿAmmār, and he was in the 5th century. This was really at the early period when these Asharis, when they appeared. And he has a very nice statement, and he says that Al-Mu'tazila مخانيث الجهمية والأشاعرة مخانيث المعتزلة. What does this mean? It means that if we take a look at the Mu'tazila here, really these are just like the effeminate, among the Jahmiyyah, right? So you have the men, and then you have the makhanith. This, like in English, what would you say? You'd say effeminate is like one of the words. You could also say maybe this is a bit more, maybe the word is a bit more, it's kind of like a slur, really. Like maybe you could say like a sissy. A sissy is like someone who's effeminate. It also means someone who is a coward, right? So in other words, the Mu'tazila are not really, they're not real men. They're not real men, because you are not brave enough and you are not man enough to abide by what your principles really and truly require from you. The Jahmiyyah did that. The Jahmiyyah said this principle requires from us to negate every name, attribute, action from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so therefore we say, Allah does not have any names, attributes, actions. He's not, above his creation. He does not have wisdom. He does not have mercy. He's not the most merciful one. He's not the, we don't affirm any of this, right? They're consistent and they stick by that. And what you guys, the Mu'tazila, are trying to do here in the middle, you're trying to just prattle around, trying to just play these silly little games, whatever. And you're not real men. And similarly, the Asharis in turn, they are the effeminates of the Mu'tazila, right? So they're not bold and brave enough like the Mu'tazila to basically deny all the attributes. They're saying, well, we'll affirm some and we'll negate others. Whereas the actual principles you are acting upon and abiding by necessitate and demand from you that you deny all the attributes. Right? So once again, why are you prattling around and, like this? Instead of just being real men, why don't you just say, we'll negate all the attributes and we'll be real men like the Mu'tazila. Right? And so when it comes to actually scrutinizing their position and analyzing their arguments, we will see the futility of their argument. It will all fall apart. Right? So this is a very nice statement from Yaḥyā bin ʿAmmār. And obviously the Mu'tazila and the Asharis don't like this to be said. It's a very not a nice thing to be said, is it? That you're the makhanif of the Mu'tazila or the Jahmiyyah. But it is a truth. And when it comes to the actual arguments and showing your consistency, then you will have nothing to stand upon, and all that you can respond with is emotional outbursts and emotional tantrums and things like this. That's really what you get back name calling and slurs and whatever. But when it comes to the actual sound reason, sound argument, you have nothing to stand upon.